Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Gates for a slightly different episode today because it's just me. If those of you haven't been following along, then you will know that Chloe is currently on the Disney Fantasy. So this week's update is coming purely from me, myself, and I. So I'm going to fill you in on all of the latest updates coming from Disney World, Universal, and theme parks worldwide. So I am going to jump straight into it with Islands of Adventure, actually, because Islands of Adventure have just announced a major closure of an attraction that is going to be closed for 10 months. So basically, Jurassic Park River Adventure will be closing in January of 2026. They haven't exactly said why they're doing this form of refurbishment, but if you've listened to any of our other podcasts, then you will know that me and Chloe spend quite a long time talking about how they could update that ride. Now, 10 months is quite a long period of time for an update, so I am curious to see what they're going to kind of update, whether they're going to do anything to the animatronics, whether it's just a sort of general maintenance thing or something like that. But that is going to be closed from January 2026 and then will open later in 2026 as well. Another update coming from Islands of Adventure, though, is the fact that we finally got an update on what's going to be happening with Lost Continent. Now, permits have just been filed for the demolition of most things in Lost Continent. Now, they haven't exactly said when they're going to be starting this, so I think everyone needs to kind of keep their eyes peeled when they're next in the parks. But they have said that major show buildings, so Poseidon's Fury and the sort of surrounding areas, are going to be demolished and hopefully updated to something a little bit more modern. Those of you that absolutely love the food over there, I do have some good news. Mythos is staying open for the foreseeable future. They have filed no sort of permits for that to be closed at any point. We do actually have some really, really nice updates coming this week. A lot coming from like TV. Now, a couple of weeks back, I did mention the fact that there is going to be an Epic Universe documentary that is going to basically be shown across the networks in the USA. But they've also just announced that they are doing The Happiest Story on Earth, which is 70 years of Disneyland, which is a special edition of sort of a 2020, which will debut on ABC. Now, they've said that this is going to be running on the 21st at 8 p.m. in America, but they've also said that from the 22nd, it is going to be streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. So, in other words, everyone's going to be able to watch it. They're saying that the current runtime is 2 hours, so that should be filled with so much history in celebration of Disneyland's 70th anniversary. They've also said that the documentary itself is going to look back at the 7 decades of Disneyland. It's also going to have quite a few sneak peeks into the future. Now, if you're like me and you're just constantly curious about the updates that are coming to the parks, they have said that they are going to update us on the Coco attraction, and they're also going to update us on the Avatar area and the Avengers campus expansion. So all of those kind of little teasers that we seem to be getting on YouTube will be coming to fruition. So hopefully we're going to see some brand new footage. We're going to see some more things coming out of that, which sounds fantastic. Now, if you are heading over to Magic Kingdom, then one of the things that you can be looking out for now is that officially they have launched the Aries overlay, which is on Tron Light Cycle Run. And there was actually one of the stars, Jared Leto, was over at the theme park the other day, riding it for the first time. He looked like he was having a whale of a time, albeit the fact that he had his AirPods in the whole time. But still, perhaps one of the major announcements that is coming from the Disney World parks for this week is actually they've finally done some announcements regarding Festival of the Holidays. Now, you may feel like it's a little bit early for us to be talking about the Christmas season, but let's face it. Supermarkets, stores, they're already starting to put out all of their decorations and everything like that. The spooky season will be over before we know it. So Festival of the Holidays is one of the shortest festivals that runs at EPCOT, but one of the things that they do as part of that is they do something called a candlelight processional. Now, every single year they will have an array of speakers or narrators as part of this, basically where they're playing sort of Christmas music, and it's honestly, it's so beautiful. They have released a full list of names. I'm not going to go through all of the names now, but what I will say is that some of the major names being announced are Jordan Fisher, so who obviously sung Happily Ever After. You've got Jennifer Gardner, Gary Sinise, and Brie Larson, to name a few. Now, this is going to be happening from November 28th until December 30th of 2025, and you're also able to book your dining packages because like it's unreserved seating for parts of it, but you can book a dining package, a little bit like with Fantasmic, where you can get a little bit closer to the action, have a kind of guaranteed seat. Those dining packages are going to be available to book from October the 14th. Updates coming from the hotels. Bay Lake Tower has finally finished all of its renovations of its rooms. If you haven't had a chance to see any of these updates, like it's kind of a bit of a standard Disney renovation, but what I will say is that the rooms are slick, they are clean. We stayed in one of the sort of the latest updated ones when we were last out there. They look absolutely phenomenal, and yeah, a big upgrade on how dated they looked before. Disney have also announced that they are partnering with Levi's for a Toy Story 30th anniversary. Now, they haven't exactly shown too many products at this stage, but you can be sure that you'll get all your kind of t-shirts and denim goods to celebrate Disney's Toy Story's 30th anniversary, arriving on October the 2nd. But perhaps one of the most exciting collaborations that is actually coming, mainly for us in the UK here, is that Disney have announced that they're doing a collaboration with Selfridges. Now, Selfridges have stores in London, in Manchester, and in Birmingham. And what they have essentially announced is they're going to launch an event called A Most Magical Christmas, which is going to feature 60 brand collaborations across sort of Selfridges products and Disney. And these are going to be showcased in all of their stores across the country. So this is happening from the 6th of November. Now, I've got no idea what they're going to actually showcase or what sort of collaborations are going to be in mind. But if you are a sucker for some Disney merchandise or any of these sort of like Disney X and then collaborating with a brand, then I would definitely get myself down to Selfridges for some Christmas spending as well. Thorpe Park have also announced as part of their Fright Nights, which is starting on October 3rd, that Lucifer is going to be their sort of main mascot this year. We've already spoken about some of the scare zones, but again, tickets are already available for that. The other things that I did want to mention for today, now I know that we mentioned Dollywood last week, but Dollywood is having some really exciting updates across the board. So Dollywood have announced that they are unveiling a $50 million attraction, which is going to be called Night Flight Expedition. Now, this is due to actually open in spring of 2026, and it's being described in a press release as the world's first indoor family hybrid coaster and white water raft ride, which one, sounds like an absolute mouthful, but two, is a really exciting concept. Now, I don't know whether anyone's seen any of the videos of the sort of raft coaster that's been kind of going around, whereby it essentially follows a track, but then it's also on sort of like hydraulics, so it can mimic the movements of like a free roaming log flume. But it's said to be operating a system like that. It's going to go up to 3 stories high, but also what they've said is that this is actually a collaboration with Hershen Creative Studios and Mack Rides. Now, Mack are obviously responsible for a lot of the main roller coasters out in Orlando, but also it's going to feature amphibious ride vehicles, multimedia projections, onboard and offboard audio and lighting effects. And in a final statement, they've said, Night Flight Expedition is truly exceptional, combining cutting-edge technology and immersive storytelling that stays true to the heart of Dollywood. Now, given the fact that Dollywood has just come off a couple of wins at the Golden Ticket Awards, it seems like Dollywood are really investing their time and their money in becoming a really world-class theme park. And I know that me and Chloe have already had a conversation about potentially heading over to Tennessee in order to go to Dollywood. So we've got that. On a slightly more solemn note, I feel like lots of people would have seen this in the media at the moment, but there was a tragedy that happened at Epic Universe. So current reports are that a man in his 30s passed away. Now, we're not 100% sure whether this has actually come from the actual ride experience itself. They announced that, or the Orange County Police Department announced that he was pronounced dead at the hospital, but there's also a lot of questions that are sort of arising around it, because it's finally, like, when I kind of woke up this morning and, you know, prepared for this episode, it was said that he'd suffered multiple blunt force trauma to his head. Now, that could suggest a multitude of things, and on this podcast I'm not here to speculate. I think the only thing that I can say is that I really hope that Universal are taking extreme safety precautions moving forward, and ultimately that my thoughts and condolences are with the family, because this is nothing that anybody would want to happen, especially when visiting Florida and the theme park. So yeah, thoughts and prayers are essentially with the family at this time. Now, I did ask you, and thank you very much for everyone that has sort of replied in the meantime, what is essentially the best purchase that you guys have ever made in Orlando? So I'm going to go through a few of them. Now, thank you very much, Mia. You posted a lovely photo of you in a strange acorn hat and a Mickey plush. I don't think we can ever go wrong with a Mickey plush. Izzy posted a Starbucks tumbler, and I know that Chloe is absolutely addicted to those, so I can definitely see that is a wonderful one. Nick YA98, thank you very much. Pins, lots and lots of pins. I don't think you can ever go wrong with a pin, and I think it's definitely a habit that I'm starting to pick up on. I think pin trading is starting to become one of my things. Matt 107 LUFC, Walt Disney World annual pass, also various merch from Bay Hill Golf Club. I keep hearing amazing things about Bay Hill Golf Club. I really need to get down there. Not even necessarily just to play like a round of golf, but actually to just get some of the merch. I just want some Mickey, some Goofy, some Donald like head covers or like a polo or a hat. I say that and I'm probably going to end up purchasing half the store, but even still, thank you very much. I think a Walt Disney World annual pass is always going to be a good investment. Great British Mickey Waffle. Does DVC count? Why wouldn't DVC count? I think that's the investment that we all want to make, and probably the best purchase that you can, because you're buying yourself years and years and years of magic. The Teacher with the Pink Hair, my Stony Clover Walt Disney World varsity jacket. Again, I don't think you can go wrong with much of the attire that is coming from there. And Me Shells Seashells, melatonin. Literally the first thing we do, the first thing we stop to get. Good recommendation is all I'm going to say. Definitely essential, and also kind of actually getting used to those time zones and the routine of Florida. So all I can say at this point is next week we will be back with an episode on Tuesday that's already been recorded, already been edited. So stay tuned for that one. We will be back next week with Inside the Gates, where once again I will be joined by Chloe, and we'll be updating you on all the latest things at Walt Disney World, Universal, and theme parks worldwide. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that like button and click subscribe on YouTube if you're already over there, or you can leave us a review on any of the other streaming platforms. And other than that, have a wonderful week, have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all next week. Bye. We can cry when it's over.